letting us know where you're... Oh, wait, I think it just started. Hey, everybody. Can you let me know if you see me, hear me, if everything's cool? I see that you guys are getting in on that question in the chat bar, so thank you. Danielle, I'm very happy that you have Scandal taping for this. Thank you for choosing us over Scandal. I really appreciate that. So just if someone could let me know if they hear and see me, that would be awesome. Seeing everyone saying we're there? Okay, all good. Thank you, Danielle. All right, so I am seeing people from everywhere. This is awesome. We have Canada in the house, and I saw Philly. What else? Ohio. Hey, Allison. I'm glad you made it on.
We have Philadelphia in the house. Welcome, Meredith.
All right, cool. You guys can hear us. That's awesome.
Hashtag big deal. I love it.
Hashtag
love
it. We're more important than Scandal, you guys.
I just got that. I was like, why'd she put that? And I'm like, that's awesome.
I feel really good about this now.
I know.
Mommy, look. Mommy, look.
Yes, baby.
So you guys not only have the three of us, but you also have a mini coach on here as well, which is awesome. So, all right, everybody, we are going to start in a few minutes. I just want you to know, like, if you get cut off, please just go back to that link in your email, and you should be able to hop right back on. If for any reason we disappear, we'll be back, I promise. So just, like, hold tight a few minutes. I also want you to take a moment and please get out a piece of paper and a pen, because you're going to want to write down some stuff, all this great info that we're going to give you. Mindy, okay, you switched your iPad, good. Okay, so I'm just going to give you guys a couple more minutes to get in. Again, just make sure to have that piece of paper and a pen ready to start writing down some info. Slumming that on. Hey, we have a good amount of people on, which is awesome. All right, so you know what? Let's begin. You guys are in the right place tonight if you really want to start living a healthier lifestyle the right way, because you realize the importance of it for yourself and your family. If for any reason, you've had issues with weight or health in the past, if you know what you need to do, you need to be eating healthy, but feel that maybe it's expensive, or honestly, maybe it has been expensive for you. By the end of this presentation, you'll have possibly cried, I'm not going to lie, due to some of the stories. But more importantly, you're going to learn some tips that will help you realize that eating healthy really is not expensive. It does not have to be expensive. It's a big myth. But also, make sure to stick around until the end, because our last presenter, Melinda, has actually gone through a lot. She's overcome a lot. She proves daily what can be done if you really want something bad enough. And also, because we will be answering any questions that you might have, I do want to say, please cut out distractions like Facebook. You know how distracting it can be. It's a lot easier to learn all of this without those distractions. So, and again, just know that we will stick around to answer any questions that you might have. So let's go ahead and get to this. I'm going to share my screen with you really quick. 1 second. All right, can you see it? You guys good? Ladies? Yes, okay. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about me. I'm Tatiana Miko, if you don't know who I am. I am a wife and a mother of one, Mateo. That is my little guy in both those pictures. I just want to say, you know, I am a former yo-yo dieter. I often say that I was a professional dieter because I did every single diet out there. Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, I did pills, I had eating disorders, but then I finally realized that I needed to take control, I needed to learn, and I needed to take action. And the only thing that would create that lifestyle change was learning to eat real food. I was a processed food addict. I literally grew up eating Pop-Tarts and cereal and Lunchables and mac and cheese. I mean, just, you know, all that stuff. That is what I ate. So it was, you know, a huge change for me, but I did it. And you know, I've also suffered from, I was a major excuse maker up until just a little while ago, suffered from massive anxiety and depression, and now I have just completely changed my life, mainly due to learning to eat real food, and support has also been huge for me. So I just want you to know that I was in your shoes at one point. I totally get it. I know how crappy it can be, and you know, I'm here to help. I'm a health coach, so I want to help you make the changes that you want to make, and in an economical way, because I totally understand that too. My life is so different now because of all I've learned and have done, and I know you can, and you will do it too. I won't lie, my first trip to that grocery store when I finally decided to make that change was not inexpensive, and the main reason is because I didn't really have anything. We didn't have like food in our house. We would go out to eat all the time, so to stack up on that stuff, you know, there was, I hate saying the word expense because to me it's not really, it's something that you need, right? So anyway, once I stocked up, the food expenses dropped dramatically. So that's just something I wanted to share with you. I'm going to get into my tips, and I have a feeling that they may be pretty similar to Kristen's and Melinda's. I'm actually going to stop sharing really quick so you can see me. All right, here I am. Hi. Okay, so my first tip is I buy frozen fruits and veggies. Like, mainly that. I do buy like the big things at Wegmans is my local grocery store of like spring mix and greens and stuff like that, but it's really not that expensive for that stuff, but mainly frozen fruits and veggies. I get a lot of frozen berries. We put those in oatmeal and in my smoothies, the frozen veggies. It's also, for me, I am a busy mom. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm building my business, so I am very busy with my son and everything else, so that's just, you know, a quick thing, frozen veggies. My second tip is I personally am whole food plant-based. That's my diet. But the more plant-based you go, the less expensive it's going to be because plant-based foods are extremely, extremely inexpensive. I mean, think about lentils, beans, whole grains like oats. Like I said, we do oatmeal, so much cheaper than that cereal that we used to buy. Brown rice, millet, quinoa. I mean, you can make so much stuff with that. I don't just make that. I can make like burgers out of black beans. I mean, how much does that really cost me? Not a lot at all. So things like that are just really, really inexpensive, and just learning what to do with that. And I say this all the time to everyone, Google is your best friend. I think I learned so much more from Google than I ever learned in how many years of school that I went to. So just remember that. I mean, there's so much that you can do with lentils, beans, quinoa, brown rice, all that stuff. Also, like spices. I remember that spices were a big, big investment for me. They're really great because they can make food taste wonderful, but if you are finding recipes that call for spices that you don't have, I know that we around here, and I live in Buffalo, New York, we have stores that sell them in bulk, so I could just go and get like a little bit of what I needed if I was like playing around with some recipes. because I do want to say that when I started this, I did not know how to cook. I still am not a cook. I kind of just throw random things together. So that brings me to my next thing. I eat extremely simple, extremely, extremely simple. Like, I take a whole grain. I take maybe some lentils and then frozen veggies, and I just throw them together in a bowl and maybe add in some spices or something. So you could see how that would not cost a lot. So again, I just eat very simply before, you know, I feel like our society makes us think that food needs to be this big, huge production, and it really does not have to be. I feel that once you change your way of thinking to know that food is to fuel your body, then that really does change a lot for you. Another tip, plan ahead, right? So plan what you're going to have for the week. And then also before you go shopping, make sure you look through your cupboards, look through your fridge, your freezer. This used to happen to me all the time. I wouldn't look. I'd go to the store and I'd come home like, oh my gosh, I already have like all of this. So just make sure you do that. Melinda, thank you. Melinda's putting the tips on the side. Thank you. So yeah, so plan ahead, plan your meals, and check through everything that you have and see if you know what you need. Or, you know, I would look and be like, okay, well, I have quinoa left over. I have some lentils left over. So what can I make with that? And then I would set my week up based on that. Another thing that really helped me this year was portion control. So even though I was eating very healthy, very clean, or as I like to say, eat real, I was eating way more than I needed to be eating, and I didn't realize it. So cutting down portions to how much you really should be eating, of course, right, will cut down on your spending. I know, you know, some men tend to eat a lot too, so maybe that can help if they realize that they don't need to be eating as much. Okay, this is a big one. And I don't know if you do this, but I know that I used to do this a lot, going out to eat. And no joke, like when I think about how much my husband and I used to spend, it's pretty bad. And then I would be like not okay with buying like an organic apple. Yeah, I would be spending way too much going out to eat or doing other things. So I mean, today I just went to Starbucks, and I mean, a tea cost me $3. Like, what could I have gotten for that? I could have made something amazing that would have given me energy and made me feel amazing, and you know, so things like that just to think about. So cutting that out, I know that I never really realized like those little bits add up. So again, with changing your way of thinking, healthy food really should be one of your #1 priorities. For me, I value it a lot. I value my health. I feel like once you really start to value your health and value how you want to feel, and once you know how good you could feel, you do value it more. So, you know, I prioritize that. I know that I'd rather spend money on that than other things like how I used to spend on shoes. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. So those are my tips. I hope that helps. I'm going to pass it on to Kristen, she's a mom of 3. She's also a recovering diet addict. And actually, she saved her life, literally. I hope she goes into this, because she changed her eating. And this girl keeps her grocery bills at $100 or less per week. And then after Kristen, Melinda, who has lived in extreme poverty, she now lives in a food desert. She'll go into that. She's a single mom, working 2 jobs, building a business. She struggled with eating disorders, and she makes sure now to be, eating completely organic and GMO free. So like I said, I'm going to turn it over to Kristen, and let me just share my screen. All right.
Thanks so much. Can everyone hear me? We good? I unmuted myself.
don't think it's sharing. I could hear you, but it wasn't sharing my screen.
I just see black now. There I am. Alright, so I am Kristen Garrow, and I am a wife and a mom of 3. I had twins last year, December, so they just turned, they're actually 14 months right now. I can't even believe that. And I have a 2 going on 3-year-old next Sunday. So I'm sure there are lots of busy moms and busy moms with little kids who want extra snacks. So I've really fine-tuned our grocery budget within the past 6 months, because before that I was a diet addict. Tatiana and me have a very similar story. We both struggled with eating disorders, yo-yo dieting, diet pills, everything you can think of. I did it because I fell victim to that marketing. If I saw fat-free, low-fat, lemon juice cleanse is probably my favorite one to tell people that I did, because I did it for 1 day and I was so hungry I immediately binge ate the next day. Real good diet right there. Probably didn't lose anything and probably gained 10 pounds just in that. So I changed my diet about right before I got pregnant with my twins. I did a clean eating detox where I just ate whole foods. I didn't really do the detox 100%, but I felt something change, and that was big enough for me to say I need to do something right now and make this change. My husband was extremely nervous. He thought we were cutting out everything, that we were never going to have any treats in the house, all that. And I will say the first grocery bill that I ever had, because I didn't really know and I bought way more than I needed, was very, very expensive. So I was like, uh-oh, he's not going to be happy about this. So I think the screen is black right now. I don't know if you can see me. I'm just going to keep talking. Good to go, right? Okay. So I got pregnant with my twins, and I'd had some really serious complications with my son, Mason. And I was totally convinced that my new healthy lifestyle was going to allow me to have the best pregnancy ever, and we found out it was twins. It was a surprise. I didn't plan it. And it did keep me healthy in a sense that I had a healthy foundation, which turned out to be life-saving, because I had some very serious complications. My body failed at 29 and a half weeks with the girls, and I had to have an emergency C-section. And that's really, really scary and all that, but the scariest part is I developed a bleeding condition. I was bleeding out, and they didn't know if I was going to make it. So to the point where they called my parents to the hospital, which is kind of scary. So I made it. I'm here. And the reason I share that part of my story is because my doctor told me after the fact, after everything was said and done, that if I wasn't healthy to begin with, then I'd probably be dead, because I at least had a healthy foundation to build off of, even though my body was completely failing. So that is my reason why, even if I needed to spend more than $100 a week, I would spend it, because, as Tatiana said, this is an investment into your health, and this is the best investment I've ever made. I have a closet full of shoes and handbags that just sit there, because now I prefer my sneakers over my heels. So I am going to share my tips on how I streamlined our grocery budget. So first thing I do every week, I set a per paycheck budget to spend. My husband gets paid biweekly, and I get paid weekly. So I do a weekly budget because it's just easier for me. So I go through my pantry, take my inventory of what I have in the house, what I can use, and then I use this little dollar find from Target. It has the days of the week, and literally I just write out on each day what we're going to have. And I don't go into detail. It's like chicken, whatever. So I make that list off of my inventory. So what can I use that I already have so I'm not double buying? Then plan my meal and get ready to go to the store once I make my list of the things that I do need. And I basically just flip the page over and write my list on that. I'm a pen and paper girl. I can't get into the technology. And the biggest tip when you get to the store, don't go hungry, because that is a big fail. And only shop off your list. You really have to stick to it. And I think that's the hardest part for people, is you see something and you want to buy it, and that will instantly drive up that budget. So the next thing you know, you had a list of 15 things and you come home with 20 or 30. Even if it's only like $1 here and there, that's going to drive up your grocery bill. So only shop off the list. And then I shop the perimeter. I don't make my list in an order. I'm very disorganized like that. But I hit the vegetables first. If I need meats, I go to the meats. And then I only go into the bulk of the store when I need something like beans or lentils or grains, things like that that aren't on the perimeter or the outside of the store. Because in that middle is where all of the processed food lives, which includes everything I grew up on, the Pop-Tarts, the toaster strudels. I remember begging my parents for those. Kraft macaroni and cheese, Lunchables. And Lunchables aren't cheap. Those were expensive. Those were a treat when I was a kid. So, like, it's not even worth it. So only go into the middle of the store when you need something there and know where you're going. Because once you walk down that chip aisle or the snack aisle, those things may find their way into your cart, and you don't want that. So let's see, what else do I have? Planning and prepping is so crucial to this, because you don't want to buy double of greens or vegetables that are going to go bad, because you're going to end up throwing them out. We waste so much food. And when I started this journey to eating real food and clean foods, I was throwing out stuff left and right because I was buying too much. That's also where I learned a lot from portion control as well. And I didn't realize how much we were eating and all of that. You know, I was like, we're eating clean. It doesn't matter. It's not going to affect me, you know. Once I got the portion control down, the budget went way down, and I got nice and toned too. That's just the happy medium. Also, Tatiana was talking about spices. If you have a bigger store, like if you have a BJ's, I'm from Buffalo, so we have BJ's here, but I think Costco is starting to bring in. BJ's has big organic spices. They also have a big organic grains. I buy my quinoa from BJ's because you get this huge bag for, I think it's under $10. I think it's $9.99. I also buy from BJ's big things of coconut oil, because they have organic coconut oil. We buy like 2 of those at a time because it's $9.99. They always have a coupon in the store, and I use that for everything, including my lotion. So anything that you can buy in bulk that you can store and have on hand, like those grains and all that, that's going to last you longer. I get a big thing of rice from, we also have Trader Joe's. That lasts, it's like $3 and something. That lasts me almost the whole month, and maybe even more, depending on how much, because you're only really using a cup at a time. I also buy frozen fruit and vegetables. I always have those on hand. The frozen fruit the kids really love. Mason will pick a bowl of frozen cherries over something else any day of the week, which I think is totally awesome. The kids love blueberries, and you can only get like the little package when you buy fresh right now, and it's like $3. So I really only try and buy those in season fresh. Other times I will buy them frozen, because the kids like them. The girls, I have to thaw them out a little bit and just like cut them in half, but it's totally worth it because they thaw super quick. Let's see, what else do I have? For snacks for the kids, I keep it really, really simple. With the girls, we basically we did it different than we did Mason. Mason, we did the baby food right away. The girls, we kind of just started doing that baby-led weaning, and they eat what we eat. These girls are like amazing eaters, and they eat everything. Mason does take a little bit more hard work, but yeah, so he's still a work in progress. But he drinks a smoothie every morning, so I can't complain because I know he's getting at least 90% of his nutrition right there, so whatever he eats during the day is going to be better than nothing. Let's see. That is pretty much anything that you can buy together in bulk for your smoothies or anything like that is huge, because when you can buy something together and combined, it saves you a ton of money on the outside. And also, side tip, don't ever if you're going to plan a day to go out to eat or eat out, just get takeout, put that on your meal plan. That should be there so that you don't buy food for that day, because if it's not something that's going to last, then you're going to have to replenish that for the next week. So always, if you're going to plan a night out or a takeout night, our takeout night consists of Chipotle. That's about it. But so don't put that in your grocery budget, and make sure you pre-plan for that, because that's huge too, and you're not wasting money on that. And I think that's about it. So plan, prep, buy in bulk. Those are the biggest things.
And I wanted to bring up, I just wrote this down because you were making me think about when you started talking about Lunchables and stuff like that. Processed food like that, I want you guys to start thinking about it as a complete waste of money. Like, you're literally wasting money because it's doing nothing for you, right? So if you start thinking about that and just knowing that you only want to be putting whole foods in your body, and by whole foods I'm talking like the one ingredient, like a veggie, a fruit, a whole grain, things like that. Because seriously, if you are buying the processed stuff like Pop-Tarts and things like that, it's really doing nothing at all for you. There's no nutritional value, and if anything, it's actually doing so much harm that it's going to end up costing you more in the future, right, guys? So, I think that's all.
Also, one last thing, because just to prove this, because I know I'm not vegan, so I do eat meat and dairy. Anything animal product you buy should be organic too, and you're better off buying those in bulk. But we eat about 50-50 in plant-based and meat, just because it is cheaper that way. So we don't eat meat every day, but that's a big thing. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Melinda, you ready to go? And sorry, I don't know why it's not letting me share I had a really pretty slide for Kristen and Melinda, and I don't know what's going on.
It's okay. I think I'll be able to share them when you create it for me if it works.
Okay, good.
Oh. Let's see. Okay. Okay, how's that? Can you guys see my screen? Can you see it? Oh. Hold on a second. Was there a problem? Were you able to see the screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear you guys. Okay. So, hi, everyone. I'm Melinda. So just a little bit about me. I'm a single mother, and my little girl was in the beginning of the presentation, making faces at all of you. So I'm also a professor. I work 2 jobs, and I'm also running my own business. Like Kristen and Tatiana, I am also a health coach. My business is called Organic Melinda, which kind of goes with, the fact that I live and eat organically. So I live in a food desert, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that means. And I grew up in extreme poverty, raised by a single mom with 3 children. So I am no stranger to what it really means to live on a budget. So part of sort of living in those circumstances is that I dealt with generalized anxiety disorder a lot of my life, and panic attacks. And I've also battled, like many women, which I've learned in my research, I've battled with eating disorders, particularly anorexia and emotional eating. And given all that, I still find time to eat right, exercise, and engage in self-care. And I think that, like Tatiana and Kristen, a lot of that had to do with becoming a mother and understanding that my habits were going to have a very deep impact on my child. So let's talk a little bit about what a food desert is. So I am a scholar, a professor in a sociology department, but my background is in anthropology, and my research is on food insecurity. So right here, this is a map of the United States. Sorry for those who are not in the U.S., but what you can see in this area here is where are neighborhoods throughout the United States where people have no car and there's no supermarket store within a mile, which means that people would have to travel either by public transportation or by some other means in order to get to a supermarket that would have fresh produce. So this is actually part of the obesity epidemic in the United States and also the grand food crisis that people are experiencing. And for me, it was very important, having grown up in these circumstances, to talk about the real challenges to eating healthy that many people face, and also the real challenges that many people face to eating healthy on a budget. So this is generally what a food desert neighborhood will look like. The joke is that you're in the ghetto because you see a church, a liquor store, and a Chinese store. And so this tends to be what communities are saturated with. Just really no access to supermarkets and healthy food. So when you go into a local store, this is most likely what you're going to see. This is a picture of a bodega, which is a corner store, and generally it's full of processed food. There might be bananas, but the rest, and some deli sandwiches, but the rest of it is prepackaged, unhealthy food. And actually, there was a national study done through an HBO documentary series that found that the food in bodegas is actually more expensive than fresh food. So it's a real crisis that is happening, and I will be doing research on that as a graduate student. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen for a second and show you my face for a little bit. So I want to talk to you about what are some of the ways that I work on trying to overcome these challenges. So when you look at the community, for example, I live in Newark, New Jersey. So there is a Whole Foods coming here in 2016. I'm very, very excited for that. But generally speaking, all of the organic markets are up to 25 to 30 miles away. We have a Pathmark in my neighborhood, but it is literally a 1.5 mile walk from my house. So I do make the walk in my daughter's stroller when, I need things like that. But one of the first tips that I want to talk about, which is what I do, is we go, me and a couple of people, we carpool to a supermarket. So generally speaking, everyone has at least one friend that owns a car or a family member or something like that. So I carpool. So we make grocery trips, and then like Kristen talked about doing a budget, so I basically budget for, every 2 weeks or something like that, because that's when I'll be able to make it to the market. So I start with that. If you don't have access to a local supermarket that does carry produce, because some don't, then you can start by finding markets in the area and getting together with a few friends and starting with that, being able to actually get access to a market that is going to have more than canned food and packaged cereal and things like that. So once you can get yourself to a market, it's really important to, well, prior, of course, to going to the market, like Kristen and Tatiana stated, it's really important to meal plan. So meal planning is essential. I will tell you that before I started meal planning, I was spending so much money on groceries. Now that I have a meal plan set up, my grocery bills had literally halved. So I went from spending maybe $2 to $50, sometimes a week or every 2 weeks, to being about $75 a week. So meal planning is essential, because once you're meal planning, all of your food is accounted for in your refrigerator. And I can't count how many times before I started meal planning, I was throwing food out. I would buy 2-3 containers of spinach because I didn't know when was the next time I was going to get to the supermarket to actually have access to healthy organic spinach. So I would buy all of these containers, and then, a week later they would be rotten in my fridge, and now I just wasted $14 on spinach, and then it's in the garbage. So once I started food planning, which of course goes with what Tatiana and Kristen said about portion control, once you're trying to live healthier, you're more aware of what you're putting into your body, and you're portioning out your meals and your meal planning for the week, then you can actually buy what you need. So one of the things that I do is make a shopping list before I go to the market. I kind of just take my meal plan, I set it up as a shopping list, and as Kristen suggested, it's really important to kind of take an itinerary of what you have in your house. And you'll get an idea of what are the staple foods that you buy. So like Tatiana, I also eat plant-based. So I'm a vegan, but my daughter is actually not a vegan. She really enjoys chicken and eggs. And so, I allow her to partake in that type of cuisine. So I make sure that I buy things that I know I'm going to eat on a regular basis in bulk. So those things are lentils, there are things like farro, brown rice, chickpeas. Another thing too is buying dried beans is significantly cheaper than buying canned beans. And everything I buy is organic. So I will say, like a pound of organic lentils is literally less than $3. And when you cook them, it doubles or triples depending on the amount of water you use. So now I actually eat lentils for the entire week on $3. Same thing with other foods. So I think part of the issue that we have is that we've created a culture of convenience, and we like things that are fast and easy. But when you meal prep, you can leave things like your rice or, your farro or other things in the refrigerator before the day that you cook, and that gives you an opportunity to be able to let it kind of pre-prep. You soak it, and then it takes away a lot of the cooking time. It's happening while you're sleeping. So then once you start to cook, the time is cut down, and also the food is cut. The amount of money that you're spending on food also gets cut. Another important tip is, I know that we kind of live in a society where we have access to a lot of things all of the time. So we're used to eating mangoes in December or in February when it's not really necessary. I mean, I'm from Puerto Rico. I love mangoes. I used to eat them off the tree when I was a kid. But really, mangoes are like $3 each here. So yes, mangoes are delicious, but I don't have to eat them every month or all the time. So they become something that's like a treat. Whereas other things become more affordable. So you have bananas, you have pears, you have apples. So one of the main tips I give to my clients is to eat seasonally. So when you go to the supermarket, generally speaking, you're going to see that there's a lot of food of a particular type in the market Right now, apples are in most of our markets because that is a seasonal food. It was one of the last crops to grow in the season. So the prices on that are going to be cheaper. So when you look at what there's plenty of in a market, things like kale grow in the winter and other things like that, then you can be like, oh, okay, this is how I'm going to eat. I need to focus on these things that are available, because otherwise you're not just paying for the mango, you're paying for the gasoline that gets the mango from the tropical country here. You're paying for that truck, you're paying for their, their salary, you're paying for a lot of things. So when you think about why food is so expensive, you have to think about where the food is coming from and what the process is for it to get here. And then you can kind of add to that to kind of understand the politics of food and where it comes from. So another great thing about eating seasonally is in most communities, including food deserts like Newark, there are farmers markets. So I'm really big on farmers markets. As far as frozen foods, I actually find that frozen foods are more expensive in my experience. So one of the things that I do is I will buy from a food co-op or I'll buy from a farmer's market, and then I will take the food home, I'll prep it, and then I will freeze it. And it will actually last for 3 to 6 months in a freezer. If you have a deep freezer, it'll last maybe even longer than 6 months. And it's as soon as you get it, you prep it, the nutritional value of the food will be stored with it. So that's one thing, and another tip that you can do. And like I said, definitely join your city co-ops. There's tons of co-ops. On my blog, I have a link for you to be able to access co-ops in your community. And another thing is food co-ops are also available in food deserts. So you can, find them in different communities. I know in the New Jersey area, there's a Purple Dragon Food Co-op. If you live in New York City, there's no reason why you should be spending a lot of money on food. There's like 100 co-ops just in New York City. And farmers markets. And that's just also really great for the local economy because it allows local farmers to keep their farms open and to continue to be sustainable. So I really approach healthier eating, especially on a budget, in a whole grand scheme of political issues and systemic poverty, to understand really why for some communities healthy food is literally more expensive, and there are ways to kind of get past that. I think I'm good now.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. That was great.
Awesome. I didn't know a lot of that.
Yeah. And great tips. Wait, I think I put the tips on there. Okay, there we go. There are Melinda's tips. So, just so you know, you guys are, we've just given you kind of like a really basic info. If you need more help, I'm here. Kristen's here. Melinda's there. We can put our information in. My site is TatianaAmico.com. Kristen's is, hold on, let me pull it out.
KristenGarrow.com.
KristenGarrow.com. And Melinda is organicmelinda.com, and we're all on Facebook. You could search for me, Tatiana.amico.5. I don't know. Apparently there's 5 with me. Kristen, hers is The Real Fit Wife, and Melinda's is Organic Melinda. And I'm also on Instagram, and at Tatiana Amico, you could find me. Kristen's at The Real Fit Wife. Melinda, I'm not sure what yours is. You could let us know. But I literally, I post.
I'm Organic Melinda on everything. Okay, I made it really simple.
We all got that, streamlined. So it's
Organic Melinda, that's it.
So, I think I take a picture of, everything and post it. My husband makes fun of me all the time. But I'm like, people need to know. People need to see my food. So, I know it helps you guys. So I do that. But, yeah, if you need anything, please feel free to reach out to us. Again, we have been there. We get it. We've learned what to do. But I want to say, I know that was a lot of information, but I want you guys to let us know now. Did you get any value from this tonight? What are some action steps that you're going to implement in your life right now or maybe tomorrow? I want you guys to comment over in the chat box and let us know one thing that really helped you tonight? What was like one big tip that you learned, something that you're going to start doing right away? So let us know right over in the chat box, please. And then also, you know, we don't know why you showed up here tonight. Maybe you have tried to get healthy. Maybe you thought you couldn't afford to eat healthier. Maybe you want to know how to eat healthier. You want to learn how to either lose weight or just know how to feel so amazing and so good in your own skin and just want to, you know, again, just like feel awesome. I can't even explain that feeling. But whatever it is, I hope that we helped you, you know, with some stuff tonight. And again, know that we are here to help you further with whatever it is that you need. So feel free to reach out to any or all of us. We are here to help you. And we are good. We are ready to answer any questions that you might have. So
there's a question over here. Rachel just asked, what do you recommend for someone who does not do more of a plant-based diet? I don't eat a lot of legumes, also not a lot of grains. I'll start with that one. Like I said, food co-ops are veggie-oriented. They're actually almost all vegetables, and then you can buy fruit shares. So definitely I would start by researching what your local food co-ops are. And usually they cost about $50 a week, and you get enough food for like a family of 3, if not more. So that's a good place to start. What would you say, Kristen, as the non-vegan?
I mean, so we eat like 50-50. I would say, you know, 50% meatless, 50% meat. I mean, I buy my meat in bulk so that it's cheaper. When I can't get a good deal on it, I buy something else. Like the chicken breasts at Wegmans, it depends on if they have, you know, how much they have, or, you know, it's $6.99 a pound. Sometimes they only have like a $20 pack for 2. So I will buy like little chicken drumsticks. My husband likes those over that because it's cheaper. They have a 3-pack of ground beef. I think it's $16.99. I think they raised the price. I think it used to be $14.99. I think it's $16.99 now. I did see in the comments that somebody buys organic meats at BJ's. I have not checked that out, but I never really look in the meat section. But I would say a club pack usually lasts us about a month. And a lot of that is the portion control. That has been huge. Today, Mason woke up sick and was puking everywhere. Sorry for the TMI, but next thing I know, it was 11:30, and I couldn't find my meal plan sheet because when I come back from the grocery store, I usually just throw it somewhere. So basically, I pulled 2 chicken breasts out of the freezer, popped them in the crock pot, and put 2 cans of Muir Glen tomatoes because they're BPA free.
Wegmans are too, just an FYI.
So what is?
Wegmans.
They are? Good to know. So I put 2 cans of tomatoes, like half a can of water, and then red beans and black beans, and cooked it on low and made chili. And there's so much left over from just that, and so I would say like per serving it's like less than $1. So buy in bulk.
I think I would also say I mean, I'm a vegan, but I think also if you look at the cheaper cuts of meat, so like chicken breast is more on demand, so that's going to be more expensive. So definitely I would look at I live in a predominantly like immigrant community, so we have a lot of butcher shops and things like that in the area, so that's maybe something you could look into if you eat meat. And also when you go to the supermarket, speaking to the people on the counter and asking them what's on sale and what cuts of the meat are on sale. Like I said, my daughter eats meat, so
I would also say local farms.
Yeah, local farms, absolutely.
Sometimes also Wegmans will have a whole chicken, which I find really gross. I don't like to like pull the stuff out the middle, but I will buy that and cook it in the crock pot because that like is like a week's worth. So ends up cheaper too.
Meredith asked, "Do you cook beans and lentils in crock?" I do. I do stovetop. I mean, I soak them overnight and just put them on the stove. And if you Google bean cooking time or something, you'll find everything that you need. But that's what I do too. And I was even making them and freezing leftovers.
Mhm.
Let's see.
I've done them in the crock pot. It works great too.
Yeah.
I'm just too lazy to pull one out. Let's see. I know I saw another.
What veggies do you buy frozen versus fresh? So you guys are the frozen veggie people, so.
Yeah. But I agree with sometimes I would get greens and freeze them myself. But anyway, I personally, at Trader Joe's, I get Brussels sprouts, and they have organic peas. They have the organic berries, organic mango. That isn't expensive. That's mainly at Trader Joe's. Then at Wegmans, they have organic broccoli and cauliflower and some other things. Green beans. I think that's really, asparagus. That's really all I get. Kristen, do you do anything else?
I get frozen blueberries, frozen cherries, frozen mango, because the little organic one at Wegmans is only $3.99. But it's still a treat, so. At Trader Joe's, I get frozen pineapple. Sometimes I get the blueberries there, depending on price or where I go first. Frozen, for veggies, I always buy a big bag of frozen spinach, because I like to just throw it in. Brussels sprouts. What else? When I first tried frozen Brussels sprouts, I didn't like them.
They're good in like stews.
But then I find good ones at Wegmans, so I started buying the frozen more consistently, and I just adapted. So
yeah. I think for me, the only thing that I buy like frozen is cherries, like dark cherries, just because they go so good in my smoothie. So that's pretty much it.
We're obsessed with frozen cherry chocolate smoothie.
Tatiana got me hooked on that.
I know.
Yeah,
I think everyone hooked on that.
Someone asked us
about snacks. Ditch the goldfish and replace that with Annie's bunnies. I saw this article, somebody posted it about processed foods that you ate when you were a kid but you shouldn't pass to your kids. Goldfish was on there. Organic Annie's bunnies were the better option, and I can't remember what the best option. I think Mary's Gone Crackers was the best option.
Yeah.
Your best option, though, I like Mary's Gone Crackers. That's what we get. But I haven't gotten to that point because Mateo, my 2-year-old, I have not given him really anything like that. So I can only imagine the struggle. So I don't know what to say about that. But I do want to bring something up that in our society also we talk a lot about snacks. And I think it has really messed with us and messed with our heads and messed with our waistlines. The majority of the supermarket, the majority of the supermarket is snacks, and it's all processed junk that we really don't need, our bodies don't need. It makes us tired and miserable and everything else. So if you can kind of stay away from that as much as possible, try to. If you feel like it, I know I have seen recipes for like homemade goldfish and things like that. So you could totally try and look that up, again, if you have time to do that. But like Kristen said, they have the organic brand. Again, they don't have the best.
Well, she asked for non-processed. So
right.
I will say one thing. I had my daughter on like a complete whole foods diet. But what ended up happening was when I separated from her dad and then I started working 2 jobs, I couldn't really control her eating anymore. So instead of getting the goldfish, I get her these sometimes. They're Earth Balance vegan cheddars. So it's a good alternative. And for those of us who work and we don't necessarily have time to make goldfish from scratch, she doesn't eat them all the time, but they're there for, when she has that. So I think one thing is an important transitional food. Fruits are the best snack, I think, to give kids. I give my daughter a lot of bananas. You know, she's into pears now. Smoothies. I think, too, it's part of, like, the deprogramming, like Tatiana's saying. But I get it. You know, another great alternative I would say is rice cakes, because part of what kids like, I think, from a lot of snacks is the crunch. So I give my daughter rice cake with avocado or peanut butter, and she loves that. Like she actually asks for rice cakes. I post on Facebook, like, you might be a health coach if your kid asks for rice cakes, you know? So let's see what other questions we have.
We do rice cakes too with a nut butter or hummus.
Yeah, those Mary's Gone crackers, Mateo was a fan of those. He's very picky too. We won't even get into that.
Yeah. That's a whole other webinar, right? What if he just
And I think I would need to learn on that webinar, not be teaching them.
Yeah.
Rachel asked, what are your favorite non-plastic ways to freeze leftovers? I use mason jars. So
Me too.
I use glass mason jars. If you get the ones that are the ones for canning, then or they're canning and freezer, so they won't pop, because generally if you freeze glass, it'll pop. So use the ones that are made for freezers.
I love mason jars. I'm obsessed.
Me too. I use those too. Any other questions? Looks like you guys got some value out of this, so I hope that you did. And also, if you guys have any questions or want us to do a webinar on anything else, please let us know, because I don't know why we waited so long to do this. So let us know, what you have questions on, and we will totally take time to answer questions and whatever else you need. Again, I'm Tatiana Amico, and my website is tatianaamico.com. I am on Facebook. My regular page is tatiana.amico.5. My business page is Tatiana Amico Health Coach. I am on Instagram at Tatiana Amico, and my Gmail account is tatiana.amico@gmail.com. So please feel free to message me on Facebook. Please feel free to send me an email. Kristen and Melinda, please share your information so people can get a hold of you too.
I'm Organic Melinda on everything, so I've made it very simple for you guys. So organicmelinda.com, organicmelinda@gmail.com, Organic Melinda on Instagram, Twitter, all of the good stuff. And then on Facebook, I use my real name, but I also have my business page, which is also Organic Melinda. And you can find me through Tatiana as well.
And I am www.kristengaro.com. On Facebook, my personal page is KristenGaro7. I couldn't just get 1 through 6. I have no idea why when I tried to make it so simple. My business page is facebook.com/TheRealFitWife. Same on Instagram, and I Instagram a lot of my food too. Whenever we sit down to dinner, I'm like, gotta find my phone, take a picture. People need to see it.
Yeah, you're a health coach when you take a picture of all your food.
Exactly. I know. I promise to keep my phone away during dinner, and then I run to grab it because I'm like, picture. And when your kid wants to take a picture eating too, you know.
You have a problem.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome. Thank you, ladies. You guys are awesome, too. I learned a lot as well, so thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.